It's Wobble, top of the morning, everybody. Sorry I didn't look over trying to get YouTube up and running. Okay, got my thumbnail. Okay, all right. My keyboard was sticking. I let the baby get on it, and my thing was kind of like slid over my keys. That's why I didn't even look down. I was trying to type it in. My thing had shifted, which caused my keys to be off. So, but anyway, good morning, everybody. Good morning, beautiful. Thank you, Trina. I won't forget the shimmer. I got you. Okay, y'all. Well, happy Monday, everybody. I'm already nice and bubbly like it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Let me tell you, I just got done with my workout, right? Let me tell y'all something. I try to add, once I get a good habit going, I try to add another habit to it, right? And the habits that I'm building now are for health, right? Because I'm getting older. Betswabble, Shayla, Nikki. So as I'm getting older, I want my body to last me a whole lot longer, right? I don't want to run into some of the health issues that some of my family members have run into, So I'm like, okay, get it together, Pam. Get it together. So for the last few years, although I've been plant-based, sometimes I got this issue with sweets. That's my vice. I love chocolate chip cookies, right? And all the time they aren't really vegan because I'm almost certain that it got cookies. The cookies got milk and egg in it, right? That's my truth. But I love them. I love them so much, So, but what I did was I was like, okay, I gotta switch this with something. So my new vice has become banana smoothies, right? Banana. I don't use I used to use like the chocolate milk Nestle Quick in my smoothies, but I'm like, okay, we gotta substitute this because this is not that good. So I switched to the cacao powder, right? It's like the natural chocolate. Now, at first I was like, oh, okay, it's all right, but I don't know. But the more I didn't eat the bad sweet stuff and the bad chocolate with all the processed stuff in it, and the more I had the natural, I've actually acquired a taste for it now, right? So I had even tried, this has been about a year, and I had even tried going back using some of the Nestle Quick because I had ran out of my natural chocolate, and I just put some in there. Guys, it was the worst thing ever. I'm like, how could I ever have put this in my smoothie? So from that day, it's been a year now, I've never used that again. I've never used like Nestle Quick chocolate milk in my smoothies. And I used to love that growing up, but because I've changed my eating habits, peace and blessings, all of y'all, peace and blessings, and everybody else here on YouTube, I've just, as I've changed my diet to mostly plant-based, that's what my body craves. But you got junk food vegetarians and junk food vegans because there's still a lot of processed stuff. Although it's plant-based, a lot of stuff is still processed, So I was like, okay, some of the way I could see a small little weight change. I was like, but some of this stuff ain't going anywhere. And I realized my new vice, my banana smoothie, it wasn't just banana. I put peanut butter in it, right? Like real the Peter Pan creamy peanut butter, and I wasn't conservative with it. I just get me a whole big scoop and I just drop it in my smoothie. So the weight is staying on because of the big chunks of peanut butter I'll put in my smoothie. Now, mind you, I have some natural like powdered kind, but I don't really like powders. I tried it one time and it was like a little too gritty for me. I'm like, bump that. I done gave up my chocolate chip cookies. I'm keeping the peanut butter, So, but yeah, that's my vice. If I can, it's the peanut butter. And maybe if I just add a little bit more exercise, maybe I don't really need to give up the peanut butter. I just add something else to my workout. So, but anyway, I said all of that this morning to say, add a new habit of working out in the morning has been the best thing. Now, let me tell you, over the last few days, I realized my workout has to be in the morning before the children get up because everything is just, they up. Everything is just, we on 10 all the day, all the whole way through the day till they lay back down in their beds and they go to sleep, right? Unless we go outside or dad gets off early and everybody, we hop on the bikes and stuff and we go bike riding, right? But if not that, and I'm busy with work and with school and all this, the workout kind of slips. So I realized it's better to do it before the house rises. So I've been doing good the last, I say like the first week getting up because I was fasting, and that's what's crazy. When I first started a couple weeks ago, I was water fast. And I know some people say, oh my God, you only drinking water, you're going to die. No, really not. because I've trained my body a little bit. So while I was water fasting, I was exercising the whole way through. Mind you, I'm drinking a lot of water, and most of the day I'm pretty much keeping still as much as I can keep still because, with the kids, I can only keep still as much as, anybody can figure with 5 kids running around the house, right? So, but it was okay. But what I realized when I stopped fasting and I started eating, I was eating some more like the processed stuff, like my fried cauliflower and stuff like that. Although it's veggies, I was frying it, so because I love that fried taste. But anyway, the whole point of saying that was I noticed the difference in the morning. And if you're on Facebook, if you go back and look over the last week, you will see that my workout has been slipping from 5 a.m. to like after the morning video, because it was so hard to get up. And I realized the difference. And although it's still plant-based food, but when it's cooked, at least with my body, when I eat cooked food, even if it's plant-based, my body is just like, and it's hard to get up. And I didn't realize that. I was like, why am I struggling to get up? I was like, I've been doing this darn Bible video for 3 years, just popping up, going. I said, why is it so hard? And why was it so easy the first week? Because I was fast, and once I started consuming cooked food again, it just took my body down, even though it was plant-based. And it wasn't just steamed, because even maybe steamed would have been okay, but it's like cooked, and it's just like my body's like dragging. I'm like, okay, we can't do this. We cannot do this. So I'm going back to raw plant-based for a little while until my workout habit in the morning is fully developed, where I'm popping up and it's not slipping, and it's not, slipping to after the video. So, but anyway, I said all that to say I'm developing a new habit, getting myself, not just my spiritual life, under control, but also this flesh, because I want to, if Yah calls me at any given moment, if he want to call me to wake up at like 2 in the morning and pray or something or whatever, I want to be able to respond to that. I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, hit the snooze. Oh no, I can't. I don't want to be one of them ones where he can't count on because I couldn't get this under control, right? And even though it was plant-based, but I'm starting to pay more attention to my body. And I hate that feeling, even though it was plant-based, like I said. I hate that sluggish feeling. I was just talking to my husband about it this morning. He got up and he came down here. He said, oh, you made it up this morning. I was like, oh my gosh. I realized it's the cooked food. I can't do it. Not that I can't, not that I won't eat it, but probably not as much as I have been. I think I'm going to go to more of a fresh diet. Probably more like 75 to 80% raw, and if I eat something cooked, it'll be like steamed or something like that. I'll work that out as the days go on. But anyway, y'all, happy Monday. I done ran my mouth enough, and I'm just saying, if anybody's struggling with that, it might be because you probably need to eat more fresh fruits and stuff. You know, I go jogging when I get off where I have lost 30 pounds since me out. So congratulations. Okay, Trina. Okay, good job. Keep going. You can do it. Okay, y'all. All right, happy Monday. It is January the 4th, 2021, day 41. I didn't even write the day up here. 41, okay. Day 41 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 711. All right, y'all. And we're reading the last 3 chapters of Enoch today. So let's go ahead and do the Shema before we get started here. And then we're gonna roll with it. Hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the God of our fathers, has promised us, in a land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our God, he is one God. And you shall love Yahuwah your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart, and you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. Remember, hand represents action. Between your eyes represents the thoughts. Remember, thoughts drives action, right? And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah our God for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah our God as he has commanded us. All right, y'all. And that was found in Deuteronomy chapter 6, y'all. I would recommend reading the whole chapter so you can get all the rest of the stuff that's in there. I just kind of summed it up real quick with the meat of it, but that's not all the meat. So, all right, y'all. Let's hop to the Book of Enoch. If you are following along, and we are reading 103, 104, and 105, y'all. Okay. But now I swear to you, righteous, by the greatness of his splendor and his glory, by his illustrious kingdom and by his majesty, to you I swear that I comprehend this mystery, that I have read the tablet of heaven, have seen the writing of the holy ones, and have discovered what is written and impressed on it concerning you, that all goodness, joy, and glory has been prepared for you and been written down for the spirits of them who die eminently righteous and good. To you it shall be given in return for your troubles, and your portion shall far exceed the portion of the living. The spirit of you who die in righteousness shall exist and rejoice. Their spirit shall exalt, and their remembrance shall be before the face of Yahuwah from generation to generation, nor shall they now fear disgrace. Woe to you sinners when you die in your sins, and they who are like you say respecting you, blessed are these sinners. They have lived out their whole period, and now they die in happiness and in wealth. Distress and slaughter they knew not while alive. In honor they die, nor ever in their lifetime did judgment overtake them. Has it not been shown to them that the receptacle of the dead, their souls shall be made to descend? Their evil deeds shall become their greatest torment. Into darkness, into the snare, into the flame, which shall burn to the great judgment, shall their spirit enter, and the great judgment shall take effect forever and ever. So right there, it's talking about people who live wicked lives and seem to get away with everything. It seemed like they live the worst lives, whether it's open evil or hidden evil. It seemed like they always get the best of everything. It seems like the judgment of Yah never falls on them. And it seems to us here that they get away with murder. And some of them literally get away with murder multiple times. And it seems to us, how is this unrighteous person getting away with all these evil things that we believe that they should be in the grave for, right? They don't get away with it. They do not ever get away with it. It may seem to us while they're alive. Some of them will experience judgment while alive, but some of them don't get that judgment until they leave this realm, and it's forever. And that's what Enoch is just talking about here. Woe to you, for to you there shall be no peace. Neither can you say to the righteous and to the good who are alive, in the days of our trouble have we been afflicted. Every trouble have we seen, and many evil things have suffered. Our spirits have been consumed, lessened, and diminished. We have perished, nor has there been a possibility of help for us in word or deed. We have found none, but have been tormented and destroyed. We have not expected to live day after day. We hoped indeed to have been the head, but we have become the tail. We have been afflicted. We have exerted ourselves, but we have been devoured by sinners and the wicked. Their yoke has been heavy upon us. Those have exercised dominion over us who detest and who goad us, and to those who hate us have we humbled our neck, but they have shown no compassion towards us. We have been desirous of escaping from them, that we might fly away and be at rest, but we have found no place which we could fly and be secure from them. We have sought an asylum with princes in our distress, and have cried out to those who were devouring us, but our cry has not been regarded, nor have they been disposed to hear our voice, but rather to assist those who plunder and devour us, those who diminish us and hide their oppression, who remove not their yoke from us, but devour, enervate, and slay us, who conceal our slaughter, nor remember that they have lifted up their hands against us. Enoch 104. I swear to you, righteous, that in heaven the angels record your goodness before the glory of Yahuwah. Wait with patient hope, for formerly you have been disgraced with evil and with affliction, but now shall you shine like the luminaries of heaven. You shall be seen, and the gates of heaven shall be opened to you. Your cries have cried for judgment, and it has appeared to you. For an account of all your sufferings shall be required shall be required from the princes and from everyone who has assisted your plunders. Wait for the patient hope, nor relinquish your confidence, for great joy shall be yours, like that of the angels in heaven. Conduct yourselves as you may, still you shall not be concealed in the day of great judgment. You shall not be found like sinners, and eternal condemnation shall be far from you, so as long as the world exists. And now, fear not, righteous, when you see sinners flourishing and prosperous in their ways. Be not associates with them, but keep yourselves at a distance from their oppression. Be you associated with the hosts of heaven. You, sinners, say, all our transgressions shall not be taken account of and be recorded, but all your transgressions shall be recorded daily. And be assured by me that light and darkness, day and night, behold all your transgressions. Be not impious in your thoughts. Lie not. Surrender not to the word of uprightness. Lie not against the word of the holy and Yahuwah. Glory not in your idols, for all your lying and all your impiety is not for righteousness, but for great crime. Now I will point out a mystery. Many sinners shall turn and transgress against the word of uprightness. They shall speak evil things. They shall utter falsehood and create a great creation and compose scrolls in their own words. But when they shall write all my words correctly in their own languages, they shall neither change or diminish them, but shall write them all correctly, which from the first I have uttered concerning them. Another mystery also I point out. To the righteous and the wise shall be given scrolls of joy, of integrity, and of great wisdom, which is all this stuff that we're finding. All the scrolls that we're coming upon and some of the stuff that we're reading is bringing us great joy to fill in some of these missing pieces, right? And we see this happening even in our day, like we are experiencing this like right now as we speak, right? We really are. I'll read that again. Another mystery also I point out. To the righteous and the wise shall be given scrolls of joy, of integrity, and of great wisdom. To them shall scrolls be given, in which they shall believe, and in which they shall rejoice. And all the righteous shall be rewarded, from whom these shall acquire the knowledge of every upright path. In those days, says Yahuwah, they shall call out to the children of the earth, and make them listen to their wisdom. Show them that you are their leaders, and that remuneration shall take place over the whole earth. For I and my son will forever hold communion with them in the paths of uprightness while they are still alive. Peace shall be yours. Rejoice, children of integrity and the truth. Last chapter for today in the Book of Enoch, and the last chapter of the Book of Enoch, guys. And we move back to Exodus. Okay. So this is 27 verses. Enoch chapter 5. And it's hopping, I ain't gonna say hopping back to Noah, but as you read Enoch, Noah is coming up, right? Okay, so after a time, my son Methuselah took a woman for his son Lamech. She became pregnant by him and brought forth a child, the flesh of which was white as snow and red as a rose, the hair of whose head was white like wool and long, and whose eyes were beautiful. When he opened them, he illuminated all the house like the sun. The whole house abounded with light. And when he was taken from the hand of the midwife, Lamech his father became afraid of him, and flying away came to his own father Methuselah, and said, I have begotten a son unlike others. He is not of men, but resembling the offspring of the angels of heaven, is of a different nature, being altogether unlike to us. His eyes are as the rays of the sun, his countenance glorious, and he looks not as if he belonged to me, but to the angels. I am afraid lest something miraculous should take place on the earth in his days. And now, my father, let me entreat and request you to go to our progenitor Enoch and learn from him the truth, for his residence is with the angels. When Methuselah heard the words of his son, he came to me at the extremities of the earth, for he had been informed that I was there, and he cried out. I heard his voice and went to him, saying, Behold, I am here, my son, since you have come to me. He answered and said, On account of a great event I have come to you, and on account of a sight difficult have I approached you. And now, my father, hear me. For to my son Lamech a child has been born, who resembles not him, whose nature is not like the nature of man. His color is whiter than snow. He is redder than the rose. The hair of his head is whiter than white wool. His eyes are like the rays of the sun, and when he opened them, he illuminated the whole house. When also he was taken from the hand of the midwife, his father Lamech heard and fled to me, believing not what belonged to him, but that he resembled the angels of heaven. And behold, I am come to you that you might point out to me the truth. So remember, during this day, the women were having sex with the offspring, and they were producing Nephilim, giants, and the Rephaim, right? So that's what he thought. He thought his son's wife had been unfaithful, and he's like, we need to know the truth, because he don't look like none of us, and his skin is white bright, and his like red like a rose. He don't look like none of us. We black folk. He don't look. He not ours. You got to tell. You've been residing with the angels. We need to know the truth. What's going on here? That's essentially what was being said to Enoch from Methuselah. When also he was taken from the hand of the midwife, his father Lamech feared and fled to me, believing not what belonged to him, but that he resembled the angels of heaven. And behold, I am come to you that you might point out to me the truth. Then I, Enoch, answered and said, Yahuwah will effect a new thing upon the earth. This have I explained and seen in the vision. I have shown you that in the generation of Jared, my father, those who were from heaven disregarded the word of Yahuwah. Behold, they committed crimes, laid aside their class, and intermingled with women. With them also they transgressed, married with them, and begot children who are not like spiritual beings, but creatures of flesh. Good day, Natasha, good day. A great destruction therefore shall come upon all the earth, a deluge. A great destruction shall take place in 1 year. This child which is born to your son, it wasn't saying like in 1 year from today, it said in 1 year the destruction is going to be. And we remember that the flood was upon the earth for 1 year, because remember, Noah was just born, so that couldn't happen in 1 year from the time he was telling him this. So just make sure when you're reading, you're keeping everything in proper context, right? Okay. When all men, let me go back up. A great destruction therefore shall come upon all the earth, a deluge, a great destruction shall take place in 1 year. This child which is born to your son shall survive on the earth, and his 3 sons shall be saved with him. When all mankind who are on the earth shall die, he shall be saved, and his posterity shall beget on the earth giants, not spiritual, but carnal. Upon the earth shall a great punishment be inflicted, and it shall be washed from all corruption. Let me go back up. Listen. When all mankind who are on the earth shall die, he shall be safe, and his posterity shall beget on the earth giants, not spiritual, but carnal, which explains the size of some of these men and women as we read in some of this extra stuff, right? Not extra stuff, but some of the things that wasn't canonized, but actual historical facts, things that have actually happened, right? Okay. Which is why there were still giants in the land when Yahuwah brought the children out of Egypt. Remember they went into Canaan? Remember we talked about this? We look like grasshoppers on the side. There are giants there. A lot of times we don't pay attention to what is actually in front of our face, because nobody ever brings those points out. And his posterity shall beget on the earth giants, not spiritual, but carnal. Upon the earth shall a great punishment be inflicted, and it shall be washed from all corruption. Now therefore inform your son Lamech that he who was born is his child in truth, and he shall call his name Noah, for he shall be to you a survivor. He and his children shall be saved from the corruption which shall take place in the world, from all the sin and from all the iniquity which shall be consummated on the earth in his days. Afterwards shall greater impiety take place than what would Afterwards shall greater impiety take place than that which had been before consummated on the earth. For I am acquainted with the holy mysteries which Yahuwah himself has discovered and explained to me, and which I have read in the tablets of heaven. So not only did the first world get wiped out, but he said even after this, he said it's going to grow much greater than before. Imagine that. Our generations are more wicked than before the flood. He said, I'm going to read that again just in case you missed that. It's not my words. I'm going to just read it again. I'm reading right from the book, y'all. He shall call his name Noah, for he shall be to you a survivor. He and his children shall be saved from the corruption which shall take place in the world, from all the sin and from all the iniquity which shall be consummated on the earth in his days. Afterwards shall greater impiety take place than that which had been before consummated on the earth. For I am acquainted with the holy mysteries which Yahuwah himself has discovered and explained to me, and which I have read in the tablets of heaven. In them I saw it written that generation after generation shall transgress, until a righteous race shall arise. I would like to believe that we're of that righteous race that has arisen. We may not be perfect, but we're getting it together. Shalom, shalom, Mom. That's what I believe. I could be wrong, but I'm just saying. Hopefully, we are that righteous race that has arisen, right? Okay. In them, I saw it written that generation after generation shall transgress, until a righteous race shall arise, until transgression and crime perish from off the earth, until all goodness come upon it. Excuse me. And now, my son, go tell your son Lamech that the child which is born is his child in truth, and that there is no deception. Yeah, let us all hope, right, Natasha? When Methuselah heard the word of his father Enoch, who had shown him every secret thing, he returned with understanding and called the name of that child Noah, because he was to console the earth on account of all its destruction. Another sefer, or another scroll, which Enoch wrote for his son Methuselah, and for those who should come after him, and guard their purity of conduct in the latter days. You who have labored shall wait in those days, until the evildoers be consumed, and the power of the guilty be annihilated. Wait until sin pass away, for their names shall be blotted out of the holy scrolls. Their seed shall be destroyed, and their spirits slain. Remember, the righteous inherit the earth, and the wicked are rooted out. It's been here all this time, right? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the evil to pass away, while the righteous live on and inherit this earth, and while it's being renewed and it's being rebuilt, right? Okay. Wait until sin pass away, for their names shall be blotted out of the holy scrolls. Their seed shall be destroyed, and their spirits slain. They shall cry out and lament in the invisible waste, and in the bottomless fire they shall burn. There I perceived, as it were, a cloud which could not be seen through, for from the depth of it I was unable to look upwards. I also beheld a flame of fire blazing brightly, and as it were, glittering mountains whirled around and agitated from side to side. Then I inquired of one of the holy angels who was with me, and said, What is splendid? For it is not heaven, but a flame of fire alone, which blazes, and the clamor of exclamation of woe and of great suffering. He said, There, into that place which you behold, shall be thrust the spirits of sinners and blasphemers, of those who shall do evil, and who shall pervert all which Yahuwah has spoken by the mouth of the prophets, all which they ought to do. For respecting these things, there shall be writings and impressions above in heaven, that the angels may read them and know what shall happen both to sinners and to the spirits of the humble, to those who have suffered in their bodies, but have been rewarded by Yahuwah, who have been injuriously treated by wicked men, who have loved Yahuwah, who have been attached neither to gold nor silver, nor to any good thing in the world, but have given their bodies to torment. To those who from the period of their birth have not been covetous of earthly riches, but have guarded themselves as a breath passing away. Such has been their conduct, and much has Yahuwah tried them, and their spirits have been found pure, that they might bless his name. All their blessings have I related in a sefer, and he has rewarded them, for they have been found to love heaven with an everlasting aspiration. While they have been trodden down by wicked men, they have heard from them revilings, and blasphemies, and have been ignominiously treated while they were blessing me. And now will I call the spirits of the good from the generation of light, and will change those who have been born in darkness, who have not in their bodies become recompensed with glory, as their belief may have merited. I will bring them into the splendid light of those who love my holy name, and I will place each of them on a throne of glory his own, and they shall be at rest during unnumbered periods. Righteous is the judgment of Yahuwah. For to the believing shall he give belief in the habitations of uprightness. For to the believing shall he give belief in the habitations of uprightness. They shall see those who have been born in darkness, unto darkness shall be cast, while the righteous shall be at rest. Sinners shall cry out, beholding them, while they exist in splendor, and proceed forward to the days and periods prescribed to them. And that, my beautiful people, is the entire book of Enoch. When I started, I was thinking, why did I decide to add the book of Enoch to our reading? It's 105 chapters. It's almost as long as the book of Psalms, but I'm glad we did. I'm really glad we added it this time. Because it gave us an opportunity to, when we finished Genesis, to fill in some of the missing pieces from the Legends of the Jews. Well, they call it the Legends of the Jews, but it's a lot of old scrolls and manuscripts, right? Okay, so, but that was that. You know, I listen to the Book of Enoch quite often. When I'm not sitting reading it, I'll let it play in my ear. I really do enjoy it, you know, so, but hopefully that won't be your last time listening to it or actually reading it yourself. So today, guys, please stop. Oh, 105. Okay, so we're just going to pick back up and read this last little part about Esau's character. And I want to hop over here to the Day of Miracles too. I want to read that today before we hop into Exodus. Okay, we should be able to read all that. What time is it? Yes. Okay. All right, y'all. So, volume 1, page 105. And if you have the smaller book, the title is Esau's True Character Revealed. Yes, much needed, Shayla. Much needed. Okay, y'all. Esau arrived after a delay of 4 hours. In spite of all the... Remember, the blessing, Isaac just blessed Jacob while Esau was out hunting. Okay, so that's where it left off, right? Okay. Esau arrived after a delay of 4 hours. In spite of all the efforts he had put forth, he had not succeeded in catching any game, and he was compelled to kill a dog and prepare its flesh for his father's meal. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? He was about to give his father something unclean that he know he shouldn't be eating, right? Oh my gosh, he killed a dog. Like, let me not start. I was about to say something about, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to just keep reading. In spite of all the efforts he had put forth, he had not succeeded in catching any game, and he was compelled to kill a dog and prepare its flesh for his father's meal. All this had made Esau ill-humored, and when he bade his father partake of the meal, the invitation sounded harsh. "Let my father arise," he said, "and eat of his son's venison." Jacob had spoken differently. He had said, "Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison." The words of Esau terrified Isaac greatly. His fright exceeded that which he felt when his father was about to offer him as a sacrifice, and he cried out, Who then is he that hath been the mediator between me and Yahuwah to make the blessing reach Jacob? Words meant to imply that he suspected Rebekah of having instigated Jacob's act. Isaac's alarm was caused by his seeing hail at the feet of Esau. And remember, Isaac was blind at this time. That's how Jacob could get away with this, although it was planned by Yah, and Yah helped him carry it out. He had foresight, and he could see into the spiritual realm, like his spiritual eye, his prophetical eye was open, right? Listen. Isaac's alarm was caused by his seeing hail at the feet of Esau. Scarcely had he entered the house when the walls thereof began to get hot on the account of the nearness of hail, which he brought along with him. Isaac could not but exclaim, "Who will be burnt down yonder, I or my son Jacob?" And Yahuwah answered him, "Neither thou nor Jacob, but the hunter." Isaac told Esau that the meat set before him by Jacob had marvelous qualities. Any savor that one desired it possessed. It was even endowed with the taste of food that Yahuwah would grant the pious in the world to come. I know not, he said, what the meat was, but I had only to wish for bread, and it tasted like bread, or fish, or locusts, or the flesh of animals. In short, it had the taste of any dainty one could wish for. And remember, that's also what some places say it tasted like honey, but in some places you'll read in some of the reading that we're bringing, it said that manna, it took on the taste of flavor, anything they desired to eat. So say if they were eating manna and let's say they wanted to taste the pizza, although we know they ain't pizza, but for sake of argument, say if they wanted the pizza, it would taste like pizza, or if they wanted steak, it would taste like steak. It took on the flavor of what they desired to eat, right? Okay. I know not, he said, what the meat was, but I had only to wish for bread, and it tasted like bread, or fish, or locusts, or flesh of animals. In short, it had the taste of any dainty one could wish for. When Esau heard the word flesh, he began to weep, and he said, "To me Jacob gave no more than a dish of lentils, and in payment for it he took my birthright." Oh, liar. He lied. Y'all, we know he lied. "What must he have taken from thee for flesh of animals?" Hitherto Isaac had been in great anguish on account of the thought that he had committed a wrong in giving his blessing to his younger son instead of the firstborn, to whom it belonged by law and custom. But when he heard that Jacob had acquired the birthright from Esau, he said, "I gave my blessing to the right one." In his dismay, Isaac had the intention of cursing Jacob for having wrestled the blessing from him through cunning. Yahuwah prevented him from carrying out his plan. He reminded him that he would but curse himself, seeing that his blessing contained the words, "Cursed be everyone that curseth thee." But Isaac was not willing to acknowledge his blessing valid as applied to Jacob until he was informed that his second son was the possessor of the birthright. Only then did he say, "Yea, he shall be blessed." Whereat Esau cried with an exceeding great and bitter cry, by way of punishment for having been the cause of such distress. A descendant of Jacob, Mordecai, was also made to cry with a loud and bitter cry, and his grief was brought forth by the Amalekite Haman, the descendant of Esau. And y'all hear about this story when we read Essay, but if you heard the names, you know about the story already. At the words of Isaac, "Thy brother came with wisdom, and have taken away thy blessing." Esau spat out in vexation and said, "He took away my birthright, and I kept silence, and now he takes away my blessing. Should I also keep silent? Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. Isaac continued to speak to Esau, "Behold, I have made him thy lord. He is thy king, and thou wilt do what thou wilt. Thy blessing will still belong to him. All his brethren have I given to him for slaves, and what the slaves possess belongs to their owner. There is nothing for it thou must be content that thou wilt receive thy bread baked from thy master. Yahuwah, hold on. The Lord took it ill of Isaac that he cheered him with such kind words. To mine enemy he reproached him. Thou says, what shall I do for thee, my son? Isaac replied, oh, that he might find grace with thee, Yahuwah. He is a recreant. Isaac, doth he not act righteously when he honors his parents? Yahuwah, in the land of uprightness he will deal wrongfully. He will stretch forth his hand in days to come against the temple. Isaac, then let him enjoy much good in this world, that he may not behold the abiding place of Yahuwah in the world to come. When it became plain to Esau that he could not induce his father to annul the blessing bestowed upon Jacob, he tried to force a blessing for himself by an underhand trick. He said, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father, else it would be said that thou hast but one blessing to bestow. Suppose both Jacob and I had been righteous men. Had not then thy God had two blessings for each, one for each? Yahuwah himself made reply, silence. Jacob will bless the 12 tribes, and each blessing will be different from every other. But Isaac felt great pity for his oldest son, and he wanted to bless him. But the Shekinah forsook him, and he could not carry out what he purposed. Thereupon Esau began to weep. He shed tears. One ran from his right eye, the second from his left eye, and the third remained hanging from his eyelash. Yahuwah said, this villain cries for his very life, and should I let him depart empty-handed? And then he bade Isaac to bless his oldest son. The blessing of Isaac ran thus, behold, of the fat of the earth shall be thy dwelling, by which he meant greater Greece in Italy, and the dew of heaven from above, referring to Bat Gubrin, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and thou shalt serve thy brother. But when he casts off the yoke of Yahuwah, then thou shalt shake his yoke from off thy neck, and thou wilt be his master. Which meant when Jacob, the 12 tribes, when Yahuwah's people shakes off the yoke of Yahuwah's commands, or they turn away from Yahuwah's commands, then Esau overtakes his brother. He overtakes Jacob, right? And that's what we've been seeing, because why? That's why we've been scattered, because we threw off the yoke of Yah. And Esau came in and rules over us. But all is reversing now, because why? We are returning to Yahuwah's law, statutes, and commands, and he will begin again to fight for Yisrael, for Israel, for us, his people. Yes, that is the truth. The blessing of Isaac ran thus, behold, the fat of the earth shall be thy dwelling, by which he meant greater Greece in Italy, and of the dew of heaven from above, referring to Bet Gubrin. And by the sword shalt thou live, and thou shalt serve thy brother. But when he casts off the yoke of Yahuwah, then thou shalt take his yoke from off his neck, and thou wilt be his master. The blessing which Isaac gave to his older son was bound to no condition whatsoever. Whether he deserved them or not, Esau was to enjoy the goods of this world. Jacob's blessing, however, depended upon his pious deeds. Through them, he would have just claim upon earthly prosperity. Isaac thought, Jacob is a righteous man. He will not murmur against Yahuwah, though it should come to pass that suffering be inflicted upon him in spite of his upright life. But that reprobate Esau, if he should do a good deed or pray to Yahuwah and not be heard, he would say, as I pray to the idols for naught, so it is in vain to pray to Yahuwah. For this reason did Isaac bestow an unconditional blessing upon Esau. Esau hated his brother Jacob on account of the blessing that his father had given him, and Jacob was very much afraid of his brother Esau, and he fled to the house of Eber, the son of Shem, and he concealed himself there 14 years on the account of his brother Esau, and he continued to learn the ways of Yahuwah and his commandments. When Esau saw that Jacob had fled and escaped him, and Jacob had cunningly obtained the blessing, then Esau was grieved exceedingly, and he was also vexed at his father and mother. He also rose up and took his wife and went away from his father and mother to the land of Seir. There he married his second wife, Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and he called her name Ada, saying that the blessing had in that time passed from him. After dwelling in Seir for 6 months, Esau returned to the land of Canaan and placed his 2 wives in his father's house in Hebron. And the wives of Esau vexed and provoked Isaac and Rebekah with their works, for they walked not in the ways of Yahuwah, but served their fathers' gods of wood and stone, as their father had taught them, and they were more wicked than their fathers. They sacrificed and burnt incense to the Baalim, or to the gods, and Isaac and Rebekah became weary of them. And at the end of 14 years, Jacob's residing in the house of Eber, Jacob desired to see his father and his mother, and he returned home. Esau had forgotten in those days what Jacob had done to him, having taken the blessing from him. But when Esau saw Jacob returning to his parents, he remembered what Jacob had done to him, and he was greatly incensed against him, and he sought to slay him. But Esau would not kill Jacob while his father was yet alive, lest Isaac beget another son. He wanted to be sure of being the only heir. However, his hatred against Jacob was so great that he determined to hasten the death of his father and then dispatch Jacob. Such murderous plans Esau cherished in his heart, though he denied that he was harboring them. Yahuwah spoke, "Probably thou knowest not that I examine the hearts of men, for I am the Lord that searcheth the heart." And not God alone knew the secrets of... Hold on. Oh, okay. And not Yahuwah alone knew the secret desires of Esau. Rebekah, like all mothers, was a prophetess, and she delayed not to warn Jacob of the danger that hung over him. "Thy brother," she said, "is as sure of accomplishing his wicked purpose as thou wert dead. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice and arise. Flee thou to Laban my brother, to Haran, and tarry with him for 7 years, until thy brother's fury turn away." In the goodness of her heart, Rebekah could not but believe that the anger of Esau was only a fleeting passion and would disappear in the course of time. But she was mistaken. His hate persisted until the end of his life. Courageous as he was, Jacob would not run away from danger. He said to his mother, "I am not afraid. If he wishes to kill me, I will kill him." To which she replied, "Let me not be bereaved of both my sons in one day." Remember when we was reading a couple weeks ago, remember after Isaac had already died? No, not Isaac. When Jacob died, remember the birthright and everything. Remember they got to the cave. They was about to bury Jacob, and Esau was there. Remember they got to fighting and stuff, and during that fight, Esau was killed. Although Rebekah had already passed by this time, she still lost both her sons in one day. This still happened, but later in the future. So Esau and Jacob, although Jacob passed first, Esau died shortly thereafter, right there trying to defend that tomb, or that burial ground that he had previously sold to him. All right. Courageous as he was, Jacob would not run away from danger. He said to his mother, "I am not afraid. If he wishes to kill me, I will kill him." To which she replied, "Let me not be bereaved of both my sons in one day." By words, Rebekah showed again her prophetic gift. As she spoke, so it happened. And when their time came, Esau was slain while the burial of Jacob was taking place. And Jacob said to Rebekah, "Behold, thou knowest that my father has become old and does not see. And if I leave him and go away, he will be angry and will curse me. I will not go. If he sends me, only then will I go." Accordingly, Rebekah went to Isaac, and amid tears she spoke to him thus: "If Jacob take a wife of the daughters of Heth, what good shall my life do to me?" And Isaac called Jacob and charged him and said, Thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. For thus did our father Abraham command us according to the word of Yahuwah, which he commanded him, saying, Go unto thy seed. Which he commanded him, saying, Unto thy seed I will give the land. If thy children keep my covenant that I have made with thee, then will I also perform thy children that which I have spoken unto thee, and I will not forsake them. Now therefore, my son, hearken to my voice, to all that I shall command thee, and refrain from taking a wife from amongst the daughters of Canaan. Arise, go to Haran, to the house of Bethuel, my mother's father, and take thee a wife from thence of the daughters of Laban, thy mother's brother. Take heed lest thou should forget Yahuwah thy God in all his ways into the land which thou goest, and should join thyself to the people of the land, and pursue vanity, and forsake Yahuwah thy God. But when thou comest to the land, serve Yahuwah. Do not turn to the right or to the left, or turn from the way which I commanded thee, and which thou did learn. And may the Almighty grant thee favor before the people of the land, that thou mayst take a wife there according to thy choice, one who is good and who is upright in the way of Yahuwah. And may Yahuwah give unto thee and thy seed the blessing of thy father Abraham, and make thee fruitful and multiply thee. And mayest thou become a multitude of people in the land whither thou goest. And may Yahuwah cause thee to return to thy land, and the land of thy father's dwelling, with children and great riches, with joy and with pleasure. As the value of a document is attested by its concluding words, the signature of witnesses, so Isaac confirmed the blessing he bestowed upon Jacob, that none might say Jacob had secured it by intrigue and cunning. He blessed him again with 3 blessings in these words: Insofar as I am endowed with power of blessing, I bestow blessing upon thee. May Yahuwah, with whom there is endless blessing, give thee his, and also the blessing wherewith Abraham desired to bless me, desisting only in order not to provoke the jealousy of Ishmael. Seeing with his prophetic eye that the seed of Jacob would be once compelled to go into exile, Isaac offered up one more petition, that Yahuwah would bring the exiles back again. He said, He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, and in the 7th there shall no evil touch thee. And also Rebekah prayed to Yahuwah in behalf of Jacob, O Lord of the world, let not the purpose prosper which Esau harbors against Jacob. Put a bridle upon him, that he accomplish not all he wills to do. When Esau observed that even his father's love had passed from him to Jacob, he went away to Ishmael, and he addressed him as follows: Lo, as thy father gave all his possessions to thy brother Isaac, and dismissed thee with empty hands, so my father has purposed to do to me. Make thyself ready, then. Go forth and slay thy brother, and I will slay mine. And then we two shall divide the whole world between us. And Ishmael replied, Why dost thou want me to slay thy father? Thou canst do it thyself. Esau said, It happened aforetime that a man killed his brother. Cain murdered Abel. But that a son should kill his father is unheard of. So he wanted Ishmael to do his dirty work. Esau did not really shriek back from parricide, only it had chanced not to fit the plan he had hatched. If Ishmael slays my father, he said to himself, I am the rightful redeemer, and I shall kill Ishmael to avenge my father. And if then I murder Jacob too, everything will belong to me, as the heir of my father and my uncle. This shows that Esau's marriage with Mahalath, the daughter of Ishmael and grandchild of Abraham, was not concluded out of regard for his parents, who were opposed to his other 2 wives, daughters of Canaanites. All he desired was to enter into amicable relations with Ishmael in order to execute his devilish plan. Boy, that Esau is a cunning man, I tell you. But Esau reckoned without his host. The night before his wedding with Mahalath, Ishmael died, and Naboth, the son of Ishmael, stepped into his father's place and gave away his sister. How little it had been in Esau's mind to make his parents happy by taking a granddaughter of Abraham to wife appears from the fact that he kept his 2 other wives, the Canaanite women. The daughter of Ishmael, followed the example of her companions, and thus she but added to the grief caused the parents of Esau by their daughters-in-law. And the opportunity might have been a most favorable one for Esau to turn aside from his godless ways and amend his conduct, for the bridegroom is pardoned on his wedding day for all his sins committed in years gone by. Wow, who knew that? Scarcely had Jacob left his father's house when Rebekah began to weep, for she was sorely distressed about him. Isaac comforted her, saying, Weep not for Jacob. In peace doth he depart, and in peace he will return. Yahuwah, God Most High, will guard him against all evil and be with him. He will not forsake him all the days of his life. Have no fear for him, for he walked on the right path. He is a perfect man, and he has faith in Yahuwah. He will not perish. Okay, y'all, so we're going to skip over this. What time is it? Oh, man. We're going to skip over this section about Esau. We're going to hop over here to the Day of Miracles, and then we're going to be done. Okay. Jacob's journey to Haran was a succession of miracles. The first of the 5 that befell for his sake in the course of it was that the sun sank while Jacob was passing Mount Moriah, though it was high noon at the time. He was following the spring that had appeared wherever the patriarchs went or settled. It accompanied Jacob from Beersheba to Mount Moriah, a 2 days' journey. When he arrived at the holy hill, Yahuwah said to him, Jacob, thou hast bread in thy wallet, and the springs of waters is nearby to quench thy thirst. Thus thou hast food and drink, and here thou can lodge for the night. But Jacob replied, the sun has barely passed the 5th of its 12-day stages. Why should I lie down to sleep at so seemly an hour? But then Jacob perceived that the sun was about to sink, and he prepared to make his bed ready. It was the divine purpose not to let Jacob pass the site of the future temple without stopping. He was to tarry there at least one night. Also, Yahuwah desired to appear to Jacob, and he shows himself unto his faithful ones only at night. That's good. At the same time, Jacob was saved from his pursuit of Esau, who had to desist on the account of the premature darkness. Jacob took 12 stones from the altar on which his father Isaac had lain bound as a sacrifice, and he said, it was the purpose of Yahuwah to let 12 tribes arise, but they have not been begotten by Abraham or Isaac. If now these 12 stones will unite in a single into a single one, then shall I know for a certainty that I am destined to become the father of the 12 tribes. At this time, the second miracle came to pass. The 12 stones joined themselves together and made one, which he put under his head, and at once it became soft and downy like a pillow. It was well that he had a comfortable couch. He was in great need of rest, for it was the first night in 14 years that he did not keep vigils. During all those years he passed in Eber's house of learning. He had devoted the nights to study. And for 20 years to come he was not to sleep, for while he was with his uncle Laban, he spent all the night, every night, reciting the Psalms. On the whole, it was a night of marvels. He dreamed a dream in which the course of the world's history was unfolded to him. On a ladder set up on the earth, with the top of it reaching to heaven, he beheld 2 angels who had been sent to Sodom. For 138 years they had been banished from the celestial regions because they had betrayed their secret mission to Lot. They had accompanied Jacob from his father's house thither, and now they were ascending heavenward. When they arrived there, he heard them call the other angels and say, Come ye and see the countenance of the pious Jacob, whose likeness appears on the divine throne, who ye yearn long to see it. And then he beheld the angels descend from heaven to gaze upon him. So remember this story. It doesn't give us this much detail in the Bible, but remember when Jacob, he laid his head upon the rock, and he had that vision of the angels ascending and descending in heaven. This is that right here. It's giving detail into that, right? He also saw the angels of the 4 kingdoms ascending the ladder. The angel of Babylon mounted 70 rounds, the angel of Media 52, That of Greece 180, and that of Edom mounted very high, saying, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And Jacob heard a voice remonstrating, Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the uttermost parts of the pit. Yahuwah himself reproved Edom, said, Though thou mount high as the eagle, and thou nest be among the stars, I will bring thee down thence. Furthermore, Yahuwah showed unto Jacob the revelations at Mount Sinai, the translation of Elijah, the temple in its glory and its spoliation, Nebuchadnezzar's attempt to burn the 3 holy children in the fiery furnace, and Daniel's encounter with Baal. In this, the first prophetic dream dreamt by Jacob, Yahuwah made him the promise that the land upon which he was laying would be given to him, and the land he lay upon was the whole of Palestine, which Yahuwah had folded together and put under him. And the promise, he continued, Thy seed will be like unto the dust of the earth. As the earth survives all things, so thy children will survive all the nations of the earth. Just think about it. We don't die, we multiply. Just think about that in itself. There's been so many things done to wipe out our people that it blows the minds of the nations that they cannot get rid of us. We've made it through every single type of thing. We don't die, we multiply. That was a blessing that Yahuwah spoke to Abraham from the beginning, and he repeated it here to Jacob. I'll read that again. As the earth survives all things, so thy children will survive all the nations of the earth. But as the earth is trodden upon by all, so thy children, when they commit trespass, will be trodden upon by the nations of the earth. And furthermore, Yahuwah promised that Jacob should spread out to the west and to the east, a greater promise than that given to his fathers Abraham and Isaac, to whom he had allotted a limited land. Jacob's was an unbounded possession. From this wondrous dream, Jacob awoke with a start of fright on account of the vision he had had of the destruction of the temple. He cried out, How dreadful is this place! This is none other but the house of Yahuwah, wherein is the gate of heaven, through which prayer ascends to him. He took the stone made out of the 12 and set it up for a pillar, and poured oil upon the top of it, which had flowed down from heaven for him. And Yahuwah sank this anointed stone into the abyss to serve as the center of the earth. The same stone, the Eben Shettiah, that forms the center of the sanctuary. Whereupon the ineffable name is graven, the knowledge of which makes a man master over nature and over life and over death. Jacob cast himself down before the Eben Shettiah and entreated Yahuwah to fulfill the promise he had given him, and also he prayed that Yahuwah grant him honorable sustenance. For Yahuwah had not mentioned bread to eat and raiment to put on, that Jacob might learn to have faith in Yahuwah. Then he vowed to give the 10th of all he owned unto Yahuwah, if he would but grant his petition. Thus Jacob was the first to take a vow upon himself, and the first too to separate the tithe from his income. Yahuwah had promised him almost all that is desired, but he feared he might forfeit the pledged blessing through his sinfulness, and again he prayed earnestly that Yahuwah bring him back to his father's house, unimpaired in body, possessions, and knowledge, and guard him in the strange land whither he was going, against idolatry and immoral life and bloodshed. At the end of his prayer, Jacob set out on his way to Haran, and the third wonder happened. In the twinkling of an eye, he arrived at his destination. The earth jumped from Mount Moriah to Haran. A wonder like this Yahuwah has executed only 4 times in the whole course of history. The first thing, that's like being teleported or transported from one place to another. They like teleporting, right? The first thing to meet his eye in Haran was the well whence the inhabitants drew their supply of water. Although it was a great city, Haran suffered from dearth of water, and therefore the well could not be used by the people free of charge. Jacob's sojourn in the city produced a change. By reason of his meritorious deeds, the water springs were blessed, and the city had water enough for its needs. Just think about that, y'all. That right there in itself a preach. I'm trying to hurry up because I know it's Monday and everybody got to go to work. Listen, if we would walk righteously, not that we're perfect, but we strive to be perfect, and when we mess up, man, Father, forgive me. When we wrong somebody, we get it right. Just think about all the miraculous things that would begin to happen. We would literally begin to be able to change the atmosphere around us. Like if somebody said something the other day, they said, you know what? If I find out that Yahuwah is in a house in my neighborhood, that means Yahuwah is in my neighborhood. Like, even if I'm the only one here in my neighborhood on this block that knows the Most High and that talks to the Most High and the Most High knows me, my whole block is blessed because they don't realize that the Most High is on their street. I'm like, bruh, that'll preach. Okay, let me finish. I gotta hurry up. Jacob saw a number of people, so we should strive that everything around us, everyone around us would be blessed. Oh, let me tell y'all something real quick. When I was in the military, right? I had just got stationed. Trina, you might remember this if you're still here. I had just got stationed and we went out to sea, right? And so being trained, stand and watch, you are taught to stand a proper watch. And if you don't stand a proper watch in the Navy, it's called gun decking watch, right? So you gun decking your watch, meaning you're not standing a proper watch. So the person they put me with, and Trina, you remember Massey, right? They put me with Massey. Massey, I didn't know Massey he gun deck watches a lot, right? But he was superior to me. I had not yet made rank. He was a petty officer. I was just an airman still, so I'm following his lead. So he's teaching me how to do the rounds, going below decks, above decks, checking the filter rooms, make sure there are no leaks, going down into the, the different scuttles and stuff, just checking on things, how we stand a proper watch. But when he would get tired of walking around the ship, remember, we were stationed on an aircraft carrier, the Theodore Roosevelt, and it's like a floating city, right? So we had to do all this walking, and our watch it depended on what type of watch. I believe we had the night watch, and it was like I think it was a 4 hour, it could have been a 6 hour watch. I don't remember the exact time. But anyway, this particular night, Master decided he wanted the gun deck watch, right? So I'm like, you sure? I said, we need to go check this. And we had to check every deck, right? And by the time you get done with one round, it's time for you to start making another round. You're like, man, bump that. We just checked it. Everything good. We can go sit in the office and watch TV. And I'm like, okay. So I went in there in the office. I'm sitting thinking, I was like, you think we should go? Let's go. He's like, girl, chill out. I'm going to show you how to do this. Everything is good. Plus, we was out to sea. It was a night watch. Everybody was asleep. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, well, he's my superior officer. They do this all the time. Okay, I'm following his lead. But inwardly, I knew this was wrong. But what could I say to my superior officer, right? So I'm just like, okay. But guess what? Guess what happened this night? We was on watch. Our division leader, who was an officer, he wasn't an airman. He was I forget what he was. I think he was a lieutenant, but I forget exactly what rank. But anyway, this particular night, he decided he wants to get up and check those who are on watch. And you know what he did? He took his little pamphlet or whatever, and he started making around himself. Because, girl, yeah, Massey taught us how to skate and everything. I was just like, oh my gosh, let me tell you something. He decided he was going to go because in every place we had to check, there is something that we had to sign off on with who was on watch and what time we went there. So when they go back and check, they say, okay, it takes this long to walk through here. So why is there like a 15-minute gap between here? What happened between this time from you getting to this spot to this spot? We didn't have a report. Nobody mentioned anything. What was wrong? Did somebody get sick? Did y'all decide to take lunch? Because we should see that law. Everything is to be logged. But so he decided he would come around. The officer of our division came around and he started checking. And he went and saw that we were missing. And what Massey would do, what I realized he would do, when we would go back and pick up the round, he would back sign the log like we had not stopped doing watch. So if you would go check, if you didn't come check on us, it would look like we stood a proper watch. But when we got there, if we missed 2 hours, he would backdate them 2 hours. He would put 1 a.m. boom, 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 2 a.m. boom, 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 put his name, put my name and stuff. Well, I had to write my name and sign it. So I'm just like, oh, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to get in trouble. We're going to get in trouble. We're going to go to the brig. I'm like, oh, and I'm just like, I'm scared, but I'm just like trying not to be too much and stuff, because I'm like, look, and I didn't want to go tell him. This is like my, and that, I didn't know. I'm younger. I was 19 at the time. I'm like, okay, Massey, we're going to get in trouble. No, we not. We do this all the time. We're going to be good, Okay. Came around, checked it. When he came through and saw that we were missing for a couple of hours, he started looking for us. So he started checking all of the division places. I think he also went to the berthing, because one of the girls said, hey, your officer came here to the berthing to see if you was here. Because sometimes people who stay and watch, especially if we out to sea and you stay in a night watch, they'll go get back in their rack and go to sleep. So he went and he started checking every place for us. He checked the office last because he figured that would be the last place they would be. Came to the office, saw us sitting in the office. I darn near pissed on myself. I knew it. So make a long story short, because we got to go, we end up getting rolled up and we went to captain's mess. We had to stand before the captain. And now look, the whole time this coming, I was like, I just joined the military. I got to call and tell my mom I'm about to go to the brig. I'm like wholehearted, repentant and everything. I'm like, I'm about to go to the brig. I'm about to go to the brig. I'm about to go to jail. I'm about to go to jail for gun decking a watch. So I'm just like, man, that thing tore me up for days till I went and stood before the captain. And so I went in there. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go in and I'm going to tell the truth. I said, I know that may be snitching him out. I said, but I wanted to stay in a proper watch. He was teaching me how to do it wrong. I said, I'm going to just be honest when I go in there, because if I go in there and lie and they catch us lying, it's going to be worse. And, so they question you, they pull you apart and everything. I felt like I was being questioned for murder, but literally it could have been that. Just think about the Titanic. Listen, when I saw Titanic, I said somebody was gun decking watch. That's what, although they spoke against the Most High, they say even God couldn't sink this. But apparently when that came out, Yahuwah heard that we're going to put 2 gun deckers on watch this night. And they was gun decking. Ain't nobody seen this big old iceberg, because had you been standing a proper watch, we would have been able to avert that. It was the same situation. If you gun deck a watch while in the military, especially while on a ship, it could go very bad for that entire city of people, and a lot of people could die. That's why we're supposed to stand a proper watch. And although we weren't standing the outside watches, we were doing the inside watches. I worked for the fuels division. And if there is a leak of JP5 or jet fuel, it could be really, really bad. Think about the fumes and stuff. And what if something had happened? I know it burns at a high degree, but something like that, it really could have been disastrous had this been a night where catastrophe had been present, right? And we're gun decking the watch, and we didn't realize there's a leak down here, boom, boom, boom. Now they got to call battle stations, all because we gun deck watch and we didn't catch it in time. So that's why we had to go to captain's mess. I'm telling you, I learned so much from the things I suffered, and I'm like, I am not good. And from that point, I wouldn't call myself a snitch. I'm like, but I'm going to tell you, I'm like, listen, don't do that. We're going to get in trouble. Let me tell you from my own personal experience, don't do that. I'm going to be the one, I'm going to warn you. I ain't going to go telling you, but I'm going to warn you as many times as I possibly can. But when it seems like now you're going to go do something and you're going to cause everybody, then I got to bring somebody else in, because I don't want to die because of your foolishness. I learned that. And so, but make a long story short, went to the captain, told him the truth. And they told us before we go in there, they said, don't look him in his eyes. Matter of fact, Trina, you remember Wiley? I forgot Wiley was on watch with us too. It was 3 of us. He was training the both of us. And I just remember something as that, because we went in and stood with the captain. I remember her standing right beside me, and he asked the both of us. He pulled Massey in after us, but us 2 females, he brought us in and he talked to us. And I was telling Wiley was of the mindset like Massey for real, like, girls, I can rest. Yes. I'm like, we will get in trouble. So I remember that she was there, because afterwards we talked about it. She said, girl, if you had said something, she said, I had already said in my mind, I was going to smack you right in your mouth. And we was going to be fighting in front of the captain. Right. So, but what I said, I was like, no, she didn't make me. I said, I just told the truth. I'm like, he told us this. And I went along with it, because I figured, he's my superior and we just going to follow directions or whatever, So, but we did get in trouble. We got put on restriction. I hadn't made rank yet, so I didn't get bust down. He didn't get bust down neither. We just got put on restriction for, I think it was on restriction for like 4 months. I couldn't go out to any of the ports or anything when we pulled in to port, and I was sick. I'm like, you ain't got to tell me again, so that it is really, really, really imperative that you stay in proper watches. So let me get back to reading this because we're almost done, and I want to make sure I kept my point. Let me see. Hold on. Because I said this because of something I just read. Hold on. Where it happened? Twinkling of an eye. Great city. Oh, talking about being blessed when those are there. When we're living a righteous life, the whole place where we're staying at neighborhood, it can be protected. But if we're gun decking our watch, if we're not on our post, our entire neighborhood and our families could be affected. That was my whole point of saying all of that. I just wanted to give you a story so you can, you can kind of relate to it as I relate to things and as I learn things. So it's simple, just like that, so, okay. The first thing to meet his eye in Haran was the well whence the inhabitants drew their water supply. Although it was a great city, Haran suffered from the dearth of water, and therefore the well could not be used by the people free of charge. Jacob's sojourn in the city produced a change. By reason of his meritorious deeds, the water springs were blessed, and the city had enough for its needs. Jacob saw a number of people by the well, and he questioned them, "My brethren, whence be ye?" He thus made himself a model for all to follow. A man should be companionable and address others like brothers and friends, and not wait for them to greet him. Each one should strive to be the first to give a salutation of peace, that the angels of peace and compassion may come to meet him. When he was informed that the bystanders hailed from Haran, he made inquiry about the character and vocation of his uncle Laban, and whether they were on terms of friendly intercourse with him. They answered briefly, "There is peace between us, but if thou art desirous of inquiring further, here comes Rachel, the daughter of Laban. From her thou can learn all that thou hast a mind to learn." They knew that women like to talk, and therefore they referred him to Rachel. Jacob found it strange that so many should be standing by idle at the well, and he questioned further, "Are you day laborers? Then is it too early for you to put by your works? If you are pasturing your own sheep, why do you not water your flocks and let them feed?" They told them that they were waiting until all the shepherds brought their flocks thither, and together rolled the stone from the mouth of the well. While he was yet speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, for Laban had no sons, and the pest having broken out shortly before among his cattle, so few sheep were left that a maiden like Rachel could easily tend to them. Now, when Jacob saw the daughter of his mother's brother approaching, he rolled the great stone from the mouth of the well as easily as a cork is drawn from a bottle. The fourth wonder is of this extraordinary day. Jacob's strength was equal to the strength of all the shepherds. With his 2 arms alone, he accomplished what usually requires the united forces of a large assemblage of men. He had been divinely endowed with this supernatural strength on leaving the Holy Land. Yahuwah had caused the dew of the resurrection to drop down upon him, and his physical strength was so great that even in combat with the angels, he was victorious. Remember also, we're coming up on Passover, and we learned yesterday that the storehouses of dew, the same dew that was endowed upon him, is open the night of Passover. Like I said, we need to test this. I don't know if anything gonna happen, but we sure gonna inquire of y'all this Passover. That's why I'm like, oh snap, we got something to test. We need to test this, Father. Okay, make sure we need to repent of anything. We got any hidden sin, we need to test this. So I'm telling all y'all, so if y'all want to join in with me, y'all let me know what happened. I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to pray something. I don't know. But we need to test this principle about the storehouses of dew being open on Passover night. So I just want to throw that out there because hopefully something happened, right? I don't know. The fifth and last wonder was the day that the water rose from the depths of the well to the very top. There was no need to draw it up, and there it remained all the 20 years that Jacob abode in Haran. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. I know that went just a little bit long, but I wanted to read this last portion about the miracles because tomorrow we jump into the Exodus stuff. And so I definitely wanted to read that. So it's things like that that happens with Yahuwah's people. And I believe also had a lot to do. You remember when the Great Conjunction came and people were talking about black people going to get their superpowers? although I didn't necessarily agree with that it would happen that day, but I saw the logic behind it and why they believed it. But they're missing a key ingredient. They have to realize that we must return to the Most High and his laws and his statutes and his commandments. And as we begin to learn about some of these things, and we don't have to, like, for real, I mean, we can petition and ask y'all for stuff, but he just bestows things upon us as we walk, right? Like, we gather gifts as we walk in righteousness, and we don't even have to ask for it. Like, Jacob didn't ask for superhuman strength. He saw Rachel coming. He's like, oh shoot, let me roll this stone away for sis. She looked, I might have to talk to her. Go ahead, you know how some guys do. Sometimes they try to test their strength. They see a beautiful woman coming, they want to try to test it. Sometimes it worked for them, sometimes it don't. It said he had the strength of an assemblage of men to roll this stone away. Like on prior days before, they would have to wait for all the shepherds to come. Okay, ready. 1, 2, 3, everybody push. You know, they ain't wait for that. He saw Rachel coming. Oh, snap. Okay. You know, he probably did like this a little bit and went ahead and realized, oh, shoot. And it rolled away, right? So it's things like that. He didn't ask y'all. He just, you know, maybe he said a silent prayer. They didn't say he did, but I'm just saying things like this happen. And we'll also see as we get into like the book of Kings and Samuel and stuff, and as we're talking about King David and some of the wars that's happened, some of the supernatural strength that came upon him and things that happened. Like I read ahead and listened to some of this stuff. I'm like, what? So this is what people, although this generation technically hasn't seen it, this is coming back to this generation. Our people, like Yahuwah, is going to open the storehouses of dew upon his people. And this superhuman powers day or whatever, it's coming. I can't tell you what day. Hopefully we'll see a little bit on Passover, because I'm going to try it. I'm telling you, when I learn something, if it's safe and it's not breaking the laws and the commandments of Yah, I'm going to test it. We're going to test it. We're going to test this, y'all. Okay. Overall, I learned from this lesson is that our loyalty should be to the Most High Yahuwah, not our own understanding or other beings' knowledge. Yes, exactly. That's what I was talking about. Thank you, Aliyah. Yes, they were missing the key ingredient to return to Yah. And when we return to him and we just walk like we're supposed to, it's him that just drops stuff on us. We ain't got to ask for it for real. You know, so when we walk righteously, Yahuwah will cause miracles to happen around us. People like will be saved around us, and not just saved like spiritually, but they literally could be saved from around us simply because we are in the vicinity, you know. So I really do look forward to these days coming. It ain't got to be all supernatural, although I believe I'm going to see more supernatural things. You know, it's just gonna get stronger day by day, and people are gonna see the glory of Yah return to this place and upon his people, and just all those who trust in him. He said, all those who call on my name shall be saved, right? Like literally saved from catastrophe, saved from all kinds of stuff. We cry out to him. All right, y'all. Let me go ahead and do this blessing and get out of here. And I am absolutely shocked. My children have not come down the stairs. So let me go ahead and do this before I had I don't know, before they come running downstairs. Anyway, the blessing is found in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. Remember, the first 21 verses is the Nazarite vow. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, speak unto Aaron and unto his son, saying, on this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, may Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people, it is Monday, January the 4th, 2021. It is day 41 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 711. All right, y'all. Tomorrow we rest and we come back Tuesday. Also, make a real quick note. I realized something yesterday about one of the spring feast days. The Shavuot, right? And I talked to Tiffany. She's still here. I know she had to go to work. Shavuot is contingent upon first fruits. Like, this is why we were having a hard time figuring out, like, the first fruit. Okay, exactly when is this? But because it makes sense now, because we've gone back to gardening. And then it started. I was like, oh, snap. Because it tells us in Leviticus 23, it says, when I bring you into the land flowing with milk and honey, you are to give Yahuwah the first fruits of all your increase, right? So that means the first thing that is ripe for harvest, like, and it says like grain or barley harvest, the first ripe fruit is considered the first fruits, and you would take that and offer it up to Yah. Thank you. And from the Sabbath, the first Sabbath after that day where it says the priest offered up to Yah, then you count 50 days. And they say that 50 days is Pentecost, so you call it Shavuot, but it's called the Feast of Weeks. It's 7 weeks exactly, or 50 days after that first Sabbath where you give the first fruits. So I realized you cannot really give specific dates yet for that, although we can get close based on when we normally harvest, or the first fruits normally harvest. So this year, me and Tiffany, Alicia was talking about yesterday, this year when we plant our garden, and we're gonna be looking for it. So what we're gonna do, I gave a date, but that date may change because we're gonna do it based on when our first fruits come. So we decided, okay, let's do it, and we're gonna plant our stuff, whatever it is we're gonna plant. And we looked up, okay, what it says, barley or grain, what we have, corn falls into that, rice, different things. You can kind of Google it. So what we're going to do, we're going to plant it at the same time, and we're going to watch it. And so the first thing that's right, that's going to be considered first fruit, which it is first fruits. And from the Sabbath, so say if that happens, we harvest that on the Thursday, and that Sabbath is, let's say, that Friday. The day after that Friday, so we harvest on that Thursday, and the next day would be Friday. Not saying it's going to be Friday. It could be a Friday. It could be Tuesday or whatever day. But you get, for the sake of conversation, let's say we harvest it on Thursday, and we thank you, Yah, for the first fruits. Then say the Sabbath falls on that next day is a Friday. From that Sabbath day, we begin counting the 50 days or 7 weeks, and we'll end up at the summer harvest, or Pentecost, or Shavuot. That's how you get that date. So we won't have that for certain until we get our first fruits this year, which will be in May sometime. That's how we calculate it, because we got Passover, then Feast of Unleavened Bread. We planning during that time, like the March time frame. And we'll be watching for that. So we calculate. So we're going to be sharing with y'all. So hopefully, if y'all planning, and I'll tell you what we decide to plant. So maybe we can all do it together, y'all. And so it'll be interesting because we live in Virginia. I know some people, y'all live in different places. It'll be interesting to see when you guys actually get your harvest. But it says, when I bring you into the land flowing with milk and honey, into the promised land, you are to do this. But it also says, we are to keep this command wherever we live upon the earth. Go read that. I'm like, oh, shoot. So even in captivity, we could be doing that. It says this is for a commandment for every generation forever. And you are to do this wherever you live. Wherever you live. So we're going to do that, and we're going to look at the date for first fruits. Although I give a date, but I'm going to put like contingent upon actual first fruits. And then so once we get the first fruits date, then we can actually get the solid date for Shavuot, or Feast of Weeks. So I want to share that with you because it's coming up. Get everybody thinking about it. Remember, Feast of Unleavened Bread also is coming up, and we're to practice the act of removing all the yeast out of our houses. As you take some time, if y'all were here last year when we went through it, I was tripping because I had plant-based stuff, but I realized even a lot of plant-based stuff has yeast in it. So you take that time. You shouldn't wait you really should not wait till the last minute to do it. You should start, if Feast of Unleavened Bread is coming up, you should start, going in your cabinets, looking at your seasonings and everything you have in the pantry and the refrigerator, what has yeast. Okay, this needs to be gone by this date, so you kind of build up to it. It represents us looking into our life, doing like an overall assessment. Okay, I need to work on this, so I need to get rid of this. I need to replace this bad habit with a good habit. I need to repent of this. It's an outward action to help us remember what we should be constantly doing, what we should be considering. That's really good to do with your kids. At first I was like, oh, we're doing these religious acts, but when I realized what it was doing, it helps to keep the commands before our eyes, and it helps with the children to remember. I'm telling you, it was so good last year. It was funny because my sister and us was on FaceTime, and listen, I'm gonna be honest, I think I told you about it. I got so upset because I had went shopping. I had got all this vegan meal prep stuff and all these different seasonings. And we kind of waited till the last minute to go through all our seasons and stuff. And I spent a couple $100 on some stuff, like natural things, not realizing some of this stuff. Now, most seasonings are vegan by nature because it's herbs dried and ground up and stuff. But some of the stuff, like the mixed stuff, it has yeast in it. And I was so upset that I had my trash can open. I literally was chucking stuff. I said, I can't believe I wasted this money on this. And I was like, I don't know, I can go give it to somebody. I don't want them sending, although they may not be celebrating it, I don't want to give sin to them. So I'm mad throwing stuff. I was like, okay, Pam, get yourself together. Father, forgive me. I'm sorry. I should have prepared ahead of time. Wait till the last minute. Because I can't be acting a fool in front of the kids. Mom, why is you going to put a hole in the kitchen wall? I was like, oh, you right. I'm sorry, because I'm thinking about the money I spent, and it's not that serious. Do I care about the money? Do I care about my salvation and really living a pure, holy life? Okay, and that's when I snapped out of it. Okay. But it's really a good experience to do with your household, but yeah, so, okay. Let's see. I read that, okay. Amen, Natasha, Aliyah. Shelby, I would like to join. This will be my first year doing all the gatherings and the feasts. Yay! Yeah, so we're going to talk about it, y'all. So I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited. So we'll talk more about this over the days and everything. And I went through here and I marked up the Sabbath days as I'm watching, so I want this to become more interactive, not just me, although I'm reading, I'm doing what y'all said to read, but I want you guys not to just like read it, but really, as you're reading, it really becomes a lifestyle. And if you just learn how to do it, okay, you go out. You ain't got to do all the research that I do, unless you really want to. But as you begin to practice these things, you realize that a life of righteousness and wholeness is I ain't gonna say it's easy, but it's you train yourself to just walk right and be like a decent person, and it teaches you how to teach your children, and you begin to realize the change in your household. And if your children think you're slipping, hey, we ain't supposed to do that. What's the fourth commandment, Mom? Or things like that, right? So all those things, you really begin to see a change in your children, and it does my heart good to see my children, when I'm not even talking to them, they sit amongst themselves and they be talking about the commandments of Yah, and I sit there and I'm just like, blessed be the most holy. Blessed be the most holy. They paying attention. Father, bless them. So, but all right, y'all, that's it. I'm done running my mouth for today. So I'm super excited about this. Please share with me all y'all things if y'all planting gardens and all that stuff. So we're going to try to really get interactive, because like, say if we was like living back in the land where we was at, like this will be required. Like, so it's incumbent upon us to get into the practice of doing what we're supposed to be doing, because we was kicked out because we was breaking commands. We was, all this stuff. So it's like, now you want to do it while you was healed and you was living in a house, living in royalty. So now you're going to have to practice it while you out there living in squalor, so let's practice it and get it together, because we can't go back in there and turn up the land again, y'all. So yes, please do, because I really want to know and do this. Yeah, so get y'all, even if y'all don't have a yard to go plant something, get a pot. If you can plant one crop, get a pot, plant some tomatoes or something in the pot, and you keep it in the house. Set it outside on your porch or on your patio or in the window or something, or during the day when you go out, to sit it outside so you can get some natural sunlight. Bring it in the day. Everybody can start somewhere. You ain't got to start with a big garden. You ain't got no, I know a couple people that are doing it. They like living like an apartment. They just have like a balcony, but you can get a pot and put it on your balcony or on your patio or whatever. Or keep it in the house or put it in a window, or just sit it on the porch for a couple hours when the sun comes out. We all have to start somewhere. We really do, So, and Yahuwah will bless. He'll bless us as we grow. Yes, I'm excited too, Mom. All right, y'all. So we done for today. I'm at 1 hour and 30 minutes. So I'm sorry. I hope if y'all was supposed to go to work, y'all at work, and y'all not like stealing time. Because remember, this is always recorded. If you got to go to work, it's always recorded. Come back. If you're supposed to be on the clock time, do that. Don't be here if we run over. So, all right, y'all. That's it. I love y'all. And I will see y'all Wednesday. Tomorrow we rest, because according to how Yahuwah teaches us to calculate the times, it is the Sabbath tomorrow. And I'll talk about this in the coming days, because we can see when we go out and we see the phases of the moon, there's a certain a phase that the moon is in on every Sabbath. So Yahuwah, like I said, everything Yahuwah teaches us, we can verify in nature. So if we see, even if we get out track, oh snap, it's a Sabbath day, because you can tell by the moon's phases as well. So I want to make sure I got that completely down with the moon phases. So I'm lining that up, and I've been checking. I was like, oh, wait a minute, this is really like this on the Sabbath. So I'll share that with y'all in the coming days. I'm just making sure. So, and I got to figure out, I know I can post it on Facebook. Maybe I'll put a link in here or something to show screenshots so you can see it on YouTube. I'm not really all that savvy with bringing up like screens and all that stuff. So I got to figure out a way to do that so you guys can see with your eyes what I'm talking about. All right. So that being said, y'all, that's it. I'm done. I love y'all, and I see y'all Wednesday morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love you all. Peace.
I'll do it.
Okay, you come right here.
Like
Okay, just no. Just I'm gonna stop it. Boom, end.